Alright, so we're in the middle of the Field of Dreams here. This is about a 1 acre cornfield, and on the back side we have about a third of an acre of beans. And this is probably the worst, or some of the worst corn in the whole field here. For some reason it just didn't come up as good here. This is also the second planting. We had 2 plantings of corn in this field. Most of it was planted in the first planting, but the second area was just a little bit wet here. And if you look down in these thinner areas, I seeded in a bunch of brassicas. I don't know, sometime in like July after I sprayed. And in these thinner areas, the brassicas are really looking good. So we're going to have like brassicas and corn mixed together in some areas of this food plot. And then if you come over this way is some of the first planted corn. And this stuff looks a little better. It's obviously taller, as you can tell. And just bigger cobs. And this stuff looks pretty good in here. And this stuff was only planted like maybe a week or a week and a half at most before that stuff over that way. And there is some coon damage in here where they're ripping out the cobs. And this portion of the plot right here, I see it in some brassicas. Again, right after I sprayed. And you can tell, look at that. They're almost knee high in the middle of this cornfield. They're really looking nice out here. This right here is some forage rape. Here's a purple top turnip. They got like almost foot long leaves. They're looking really good. So right here, man, it looks really good. I got some brassicas out that way on the edge of the cornfield where they look just like this. Really nice, big. But right here, I can't believe how good these brassicas look in the middle of this cornfield. I mean, they ain't getting too much sunlight in here, but they are getting some sunlight. Okay. So this is that other area I was talking about on the edge of the cornfield here. The reason why the corn's so thin here is because all the turkeys and birds and other animals ripped out all the corn when it was just kind of germinating. And I see it in all these brassicas here like I did with the rest of the field, or certain parts of the field right after I sprayed. And this area was getting full sun, and these brassicas were planted, oh, I don't know, probably like early July or late June probably. And this is a purple top turnip, and all this stuff's like knee high, and it just looks, I mean, look at this leaf. I don't want to break it off because look at that. That could feed a deer alone, just that one leaf. I mean, that's insane. No fertilizer here really, other than the fertilizer when we planted the corn. I'll take you over to the other side, then we can get a look at the beans too. So we're gonna head over there now.
Well, actually, no.
Anyways, here are the soybeans, and on this side I mixed in some brassicas just like I did with the corn. So that's why it's kind of weedy here. But once you get in here, the rest of these beans have all canopied over. It's kind of terrible sun glare that way, but oh, there we go. This is just a small, probably like I said, third of an acre of beans, really small. They were really getting browsed on badly when they were shorter, but now that they've kind of grown out of that stage, they've been able to keep up with the deer browse, and you know, they're producing pretty good sized pods already. Not a ton of pods yet, but they kind of got delayed from all the deer browse early on, like I said, and it's really looking good now. We're going to take you over to all the other corn and soybean plots in this video, and then later in probably early September, I'll come out with the brassica update video. So right now, we're going to head over to one of our other corn fields and soybean spots. So see you when we get there. All right, so here is some of the corn, and this is our bean and corns mixed food plot, the one right over here. As you can tell, the beans look amazing. They're like waist high. They look a lot better than the other beans, just simply because this plot was planted a little thicker because I hand drilled it in versus using the actual corn planter. And secondly, there was less deer browse on this plot. But this corn right here, we're gonna look at this stuff first, and then we'll head over to that plot. This stuff is some of the tallest looking corn in the whole farm, just simply because it's a little wetter area, and it really grew. I mean, as you can tell, some of this stuff has got to be 9.5, 10 foot at the very tops of these tassels. And also in this cornfield, I broadcasted a bunch of brassicas in here. They're about knee high, as well as all these weeds in here. But anyways, let's get to the corn here. This stuff is a little bit behind that first field we were at. I think we planted this a couple weeks after, just simply because we didn't get around and have time to do it right away. But this corn, like I said, is just as tall, if not taller, but as you can tell, the cobs are still kind of growing. They're not completely mature yet, but they're getting there. This is probably only about a 1/4 acre of corn. It's some, but not a lot. It's still gonna last a while. It'll take them a long time before they consume all this stuff. But as you can tell, it looks really good, you know. And then you get in here in some of these thin areas. I pretty much broadcasted brassicas throughout this whole cornfield right after spraying. And there is brassicas in here that are literally almost waist high. Almost waist high. There's a bunch of weeds in here too, but once we get a couple frosts, these weeds will all die off and these brassicas will really pop out. So I'm going to take you over to our other bean plot where we got the corn and beans mixed, and then I'm going to take you up to the hill where we got our straight corn plot also. Here we are. This is the corn and beans mixed plot. Some deer browse right there. These beans are really looking good. I'll take you up over to the other side eventually, but this is just to give you a good idea of this corn does grow with the beans mixed. This stuff was planted the same day as the corn we were just walking around in. This stuff's just a little shorter here just because it's growing with the beans and it's not really planted in a field, but it looks like it's still going to produce, you know, cobs. So we're going to have corn and beans making grain together. All right, so as you can tell, this stuff is a little bit over my waist. There's a lot of weeds in here too, but overall, these beans have... I'll just pull one out so you can see. Here's the one plant. They're a little bit probably thick, but doesn't have a whole lot of pods on there, but there's a lot of plants in here, so we're gonna get a lot of food out of this plot. Yeah. Walking along the edge here, this stuff, a little bit of deer browse. Along the edge, the beans have more pods just because they can kind of get more sunlight in there. Some areas are a little bit thick and there really ain't too many pods on the plants, but right here it looks pretty good. You can see a ton of pods in there. Anyways, I'll take you over to the other side here. We're kind of walking around the plot right now. Stick around to the end. We're gonna have a good drone video, 2 or 3 minute long video of all the plots right at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Right here the beans are a little bit smaller just because it's kind of shady, but they're still making plenty of pods, looking really nice. And then you get on this side, more in here, we got some corn over here, but again, a lot of these beans are waist high. They're looking really good. Well, here we are. This is the shed plot. We're on the bottom side, kind of on the wet side here. I'm going to take you into the middle here. There's a lot of coon damage in this field as well, as you can tell. But this field was planted the same day as the first planting in the Field of Dreams, the first plot we were at. And that's why this corn is pretty much done growing. It looks pretty darn good. A lot of coon damage right here. There's multiple stalks just laying in the ground here. I didn't broadcast any brassicas in this food plot at all, unlike the other one. Just mainly because when I was thinking about doing it, there was already a ton of grass coming in. But overall, I think this cornfield has probably the most coon damage, probably just because it's close to the hardwoods. Yeah, it sucks that these frickin' coons are eating up all this nice corn. Man, now that I started walking through here, this field by far has the worst coon damage out of all of our corn. It sucks. So now we're kind of heading up towards the hill, and this soil here is a little bit drier, and as you can tell, this corn definitely does not look as healthy, and therefore we get smaller cobs. When frickin' coons are smart, they're heading out to the middle to get the big cobs. They don't want these small runty cobs. I mean, this is like sweet corn right here. But this corn looks pretty weak right here. It's like actually drying up, starting to die out. There ain't really nothing for cobs on these couple outside rows. There's a good view of the plot. So we're going to take the drone up now and we're going to get an even better view.